Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. We just wait 5 minutes for people to join, and then we'll start the webinar, if that's okay. So I'm going to start right now. Can you hear me? Is my voice sound clear? All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. I'm Nazish Sheikha. I head the Center of Excellence in Responsible Business at the Pakistan Business Council. And today we're doing a webinar entitled Beyond School Structured Care Solutions. This webinar is part of our ongoing partnership with UNICEF and UN Women, and we're exploring opportunities or areas which can help engage more women in the workplace. As you know, childcare is an important area, and I'm sure you've heard of the concept of the maternal wall, the idea that because of childcare needs and the needs of children, most women tend to leave the workplace after they have a child or sometimes two children. And whilst childcare is being recognized increasingly around the world, and in Pakistan as an important barrier, we do need to explore all of the solutions to address this barrier. And an important solution that we've identified is looking at structured childcare approaches, and the idea that there can't be one solution that fits all. There has to be a multiple amount of solutions so that we can address the low female labor force participation, especially in Pakistan. So I'm going to start off with a little story about myself, and then we'll talk about the Pakistan Business Council and what we've done and where the present research fits in. I personally have 3 kids, and I ended up joining my workforce when 10 years after I graduated. And the reason for that was because I had 3 children at the time, and then I didn't have any space to send 3 kids. So if you have, even if you have a joint family solution, or you have option for childcare, or people at home that can support you, in general, you can't, most parents or most elderly aunts and uncles can only look after 1 child. You can't expect them to look after 3 children in sickness and in health, and the school pickups and all of the other things that entail. And this is something that I've learned after having kids. At some point it sounds very, very easy, or your parents are ready to look after them. Why don't you just go keep on working? But that's not how it works. And then a lot of our the systems in place, they don't give you that flexibility. So for a long time, I have been working part-time, and in my part-time role, even when I started, it was 9 to 1, and two of my kids, they finished school at 12:30. So even if I wanted to, do 9 to 1, there was always the struggle of 12:30. If you go to a school, most schools have, staggered school timings but staggered school timings means that you're basically engaged for at least 3 hours a day in the school pick and drops. If you go for, a van system or a, school van system, there's no school van system that is supported by the school itself. They're all private van systems. So there's a lot of issues that make it challenging for a parent to rejoin the workplace after having children, or to start working after having children, to continue after having, and then this is what we've seen in the discussions that we've had with parents is if some parents have continued, some mothers have continued working after having one child, but have had to drop out after having two children. Some mothers have had to drop out after because there was the lack of available childcare in the neighborhood, or things like that. So a lot of things do make a difference, and when we're trying to get more women in the workforce, it's very important to while we're going to the corporate sector to fix their policies and practices, we need to also engage the stakeholders so that we can identify solutions, or advocate for the solutions that are needed by the parents of today. So I'm just going to talk about let me see, a little bit about where I'm working. I head the Center of Excellence in Responsible Business, which is an outreach initiative of the Pakistan Business Council. For those of you who know, Pakistan Business Council is one of the largest business associations in Pakistan, and it's got more than 100 large companies as its members, and they advocate for sustainable value creation. In 2017, the Center of Excellence in Responsible Business was set up in order to improve the smaller indicators that can lead to better economies. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard, or if you haven't heard, if women participate in the workforce, it can improve, economies by at least 30%. Even and there's a lot of research on that. So gender equality is an important area for us to focus on to get Pakistan to have, growing economic indicators. One of the first researches we did when we started the center was on gender equality, and we identified 6 areas that needed work. Family-friendly workplaces was one of those areas that need to be progressed to improve the economy overall. So just a little bit more about the other areas that we look at. We look at creating livelihoods, which is looking at decent work practices, which again includes family-friendly policies, inclusive and sustainable systems. The concept of inclusive is that we make a workplace that is inclusive for all working mothers, working fathers, and so on, environmental stewardship, ethical practices, and transforming business culture. All of them today all research basically showcases the need for transforming business culture, and looks at there's a need for diversity on the base of that. So now I'm going to hand over to Saira Halai, who will be talking about a little bit of our research that we've done with UNICEF on the landscape analysis on family-friendly policies, on what's happening in Pakistan, what's available out there, and what are our recommendations to take it forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nazish. I think that was a good insight into what Pakistan Business Council and you all do. Just give me a second, I'll start sharing. Can you all see my screen? Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes,
Okay, so
Saida.
if thank you so much, Dr. Sabha. Thank you all of you for being here, and let me start by thanking Pakistan Business Council, SERB specifically, Nazish and Samin, and UN Women, UNICEF, for giving us the opportunity to work on this research project for this very, very important topic of gender inclusion at the workplace, primarily, or family policies, as we called it. Now, I'll just do a quick run through of what we have done and what it entailed, right? And after we can take questions after the session is finished. So we all know with the latest results that came in the family, that we are at the bottom, Pakistan is at the bottom rung at the World Economic Forum in terms of gender equality. And 148 out of 148 is not a good place to be. Very important, we need to focus on inclusion of women at the workforce, at the workplace. And the researches like this and findings like this and recommendations are everything that is going to help, hopefully, corporates, build a better workplace where for women as well. So, going by the presentation, we're saying accessible, affordable childcare, is a concern, and especially for working parents and mothers. Schools, and that's what specifically we are here for today, are uniquely positioned to support this need. And they do have an infrastructure in place. And that this webinar is about as to how we can build cost-effective models for childcare support. So a little research. So the aim that we had is to understand barriers and enablers of childcare across settings. And this root of it that we're talking about today is based on the school-based solutions that are also available, or should be made available rather. One second. Yeah, the objectives that we had is to analyze childcare accessibility and corporate policy adoption in urban areas, identify gaps that there are in current childcare infrastructure and corporate practices. We have also looked at regional practices, example, India, Bangladesh, etc., in terms of what their practices are. Because, I mean, you can only operate so much in your own knowledge base, right? But you need to go beyond what's happening and what are the best practices that can be adopted. So our report focuses on best practices around the region as well. If you guys get a chance to look at the report, I think there's a lot to pull and gain from it. And then we've given actionable insights for corporates and how to enhance their family-friendly policies. And there'll be a lot more that you can read into the daycares, etc. That you will that are there and support, etc. So the significance that we have here is understanding childcare challenges. And we need to help corporates improve the retention, productivity, gender equity. So when we understand the challenges, how to bridge them, then it's more easier, more possible for corporates to improve the challenges that they have. The way we went about it was a mixed method approach where we had surveys, which all of you must have participated, I hope, in some way or the other. So we talked to corporates, government entities, schools, NGOs, parents, lots of parents and what their needs are, and care providers. And it was not only talks, so there were surveys, there were in-depth interviews, there were site visits, and there were focus group discussions. So all of it together formed a very strong base of the recommendations, of the gaps, of the analysis that we have to do of this particular topic. So our key findings were that there are lack of lack of school care is a significant barrier for working parents, especially mothers. Mothers, because I mean, in our culture, mothers are the primary caregivers. The school infrastructure is often underutilized after academic hours. 8 to 2 is what we have, and then that's sort of it. And we have maybe some classes or some stuff that's going on, but primarily there's a lot of availability of utilization, which is not utilized at the moment. Majority of parents surveyed expressed interest in enrolling children in structured school-based programs. Oops. And child safety, enrichment, and convenience are a key decision factor for parents. Obviously, if any of us have children, we understand safety and security is the main thing that we want to look out for. So what schools are saying, key insights from field engagement. So infrastructure is available, but underused. I just mentioned that. They say our classrooms and screens are mostly empty after 2 p.m. Staffing, our teachers are already stretched, so extra help is already essential. I'm here talking to them about, why don't you extend your childcare beyond 2 p.m. And these are very the kind of responses that we did get, that हमारी teachers के पास there's really no time. Safety. Now, as much as parents have a safety concern, so do the schools. What if something happens after hours? That's the biggest worry. This is one of the vice principals in Lahore who said that. And our response to her was that, of course, you would have the right safety measure in place, because that's what you have during your school hours. That's why you have so many kids in school that you cater to. And you make sure thing happens. And I'm sure your biggest worry is what happens during school hours also, right? So it's the same thing that would be projected going forward. What happens and how do we manage safety and security? Schools want support. So if there were approved models, we would feel more confident to start. Mind you, there are now some very certified data providers working on very proper models, etc. So yes, if they are approved models, it could be very beneficial, and they are, but they're few. Interest in guidance from government or NGOs, including training and pilot support, and open to partnership from corporates. So this is what schools are talking about. We've gone and we've talked to schools and Pakistan, Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, the largest cities that were there. What are the practical steps to launch after school care in schools? How do you do it, right? So you assess and then you prepare. So what do we have? We have school spaces. So you identify which are the appropriate school places that would be correct for after school care. I'm not going up the whole school, but there will be dedicated spaces that could be converted immediately or utilized, not even converted, because utilized after school care. Staffing, big concern came up from everyone, but you have to determine your internal capacity and you need to hire from outside. I mean, that all goes towards manning or organizing your cost ratios and how we'd like to go about that. Once that is done, then you pilot a structured care program. So start with a small offering of 1 2 hours, and things like maybe homework, so kids can stay over 1 hour, but you get homework help or do some arts or storytelling, sports, any such thing that you graduate into making it a longer program. And in the pilot also, the safety measures are uncompromised. So you have to look into safety measures and protocols for, all kinds of people going in and out and how the children will be managed. Build strategic partnership. This is a very, very good one because you can collaborate with NGOs, community groups who are wanting to do a lot of stuff to implement and co-deliver. Engage universities to provide student tutor or mentors in exchange for stipends. And remember, I mean, if you go for the top teachers for all subjects, that's a cost. And here you have very good people looking out to do something, add to the CVs. So engage with universities to the right kind of people at smaller stipends, and encourage businesses to fund low-income pilots by SR. And this can be done especially in underserved areas. Then parents must be encouraged to kind of look into this facility because it's something also very new for parents, and they will not very open come and enroll their children, but they need to understand all the protocols that you've put around it and how you're going to run it. Engage, do surveys, and gauge their demand and build on it. And what would be the impact? Children, improved emotional safety. Yeah, emotional safety, use time in unsupervised settings. Then they also will have access to structured enrichment activities. So they are good environment to flourish in. Parents, of course, will have the peace of mind. They will have trust in the school that they've already putting their kids into for the first 5 6 hours. That trust is all there. So it's like just an extension of the trust. And for schools, they have enhanced community reputation, very important. This is what they do. They're the first. They will generate revenue, be it modest, and it will be determined as a family-friendly institution, also aligned with global educational inclusion trends. So let's reimagine after-school care, not as an add-on, but as an extension of learning and care. Consider pilot projects using schools' existing resources, and do try it, right? Best of luck for those of us who are watching from the school platform. Give it a shot. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saira, for this presentation. As you can see, there's a lot that can be done. Our findings do identify that it is obviously anything new is difficult to do, and there are a lot of questions that need to be answered, especially related to safety. And again, in this situation, the children come first, and to talk about children's needs and how to look further into them as part of family-friendly policies, I'm going to invite Dr. Sabah Shuja from UNICEF Pakistan to take over the conversation. Dr. Sabah Shuja, please also give a little background about yourself as well.
Thank you, Nazish. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. So this is Dr. Sabah Shuja, and I am working as Early Childhood Development Manager with UNICEF Pakistan, and would request Samin to share the screen. And thank you for being here. And I was just wondering that, we've talked a lot about child care and, the importance of family-friendly policies and practices, but why we are doing this. And I think my engagement with all of you is to just unpack child care with the dimension of the impact, why we want to have this child care. So basically, early childhood development is an impact and outcome of all these efforts. And today I'll be more touch base on care and learning aspect, because early childhood development itself is a big comprehensive concept. So if we can go to the next slide quickly. Yeah. So this is the situation in Pakistan where we are living in. And it's not very encouraging, yet true. 54% of our children under 5 are at risk of development. And when we say 54%, nearly 33 million children all across the country are struggling in one and another way of similar kind of deprivation. Either they are malnourished or, victim of any climate change, or maybe having some issue with child protection. And there are some struggles around learning. So I hope these slides will be shared with all of you. So I won't go and read all these statistics, but the situation is very gloomy. Most of the children are malnourished. Our children are facing deprivation when it comes to their survival. We are unfortunately among the most highest country where we have highest neonatal, young newborn babies, mortality issues. Our girls are suffering with the, various kind of, inequalities, early child marriage, some basic issues with the sanitation. So this is the situation where we're living in. So how we can tackle it, and what is the most vulnerable time period of our children where all these things are actually having impact on their not only health, not only their nutrition, but the development domain. So what is this actually the early childhood development? So we could go to the next slide, Samin, quickly, please. Yeah, so I just want to share that, of course, this all polycrisis effect all across the life cycle, but then there is a very specific period where we have a highest impact. What is that period? It starts from the conception to birth, and then it goes up to 8 years. So in nutshell, first 8 years are very crucial. And of course, when child is, growing up, so there is a continuous process. And this process is not just for their physical health, but other dimension as well. And all this is happening in certain environment. And you, me, teachers, schools, community centers, home, all are part of environment. So how all these, intersectionality and environment is actually impacting on child development and child care. So just to remind you that first 4 steps are crucial. Why? Let's go to the next slide. So when we say developments, we just not, we must not look only on the physical, and we say, oh, child is healthy. It's not only about physical, but it's about their active and their motor movement, their cognitive development, their linguistic abilities, and their ability to have that socio-emotional regulation. So it's a nutshell, a package. And once we are trying to get that outcome through childcare and potential early learning opportunities, that's where we are actually contributing to the broader aspect, which is human development. And again, all these, dimensions are very specific to first 8 years. If you can go to the next slide, Sami. Click, click, click. So I just wanted to share that, because whatever is happening with that child, it is actually happening within first 8 years, yet first 3 years are more crucial when it comes to the sensitive period of our children, where most of the brain development actually is happening. If we can click more, so we'll have one. Boom, Samin. Yeah, more. Click, click, click. Yeah. Yep, just stop here. So just see whether our children are having symbolic, learning, emotional control, habitual way of responding, hearing, vision, numeracy, social skill. Just see where it is actually happening the most. The highest sensitivity period is first 2 to 3 years. That means early learning and childcare has a greater role to play. And all those efforts which we are talking here about family-friendly policies and others are actually contributing to this. So all these policies, practices, environment are necessary to attain the brain development of our children, especially in this time period. Next slide, please. Yeah, I just wanted to share, we've talked about child, protection, child safety, Nazish highlighted all those dimensions. Just see, if there is a toxic stress, the brain development, the difference between these two brains, it's pretty much evident. One brain is related, how the child is actually suffered with whatever the toxic stress was there, maybe in not enough childcare, maybe not enough parenting, or maybe school environment was not conducive for that during their early learning, pre-primary or primary years. So how that had a huge impact on the cognitive abilities and the development. So I just wanted to share that how this whole setup can provide an opportunity to tackle such situation, which is actually hindering the developmental domain of our children. Next slide, please, Samir. Yeah, and this is my favorite slide. I always, highlight this slide just to let everybody know that please do understand that 90% of the brain development is actually happening within first 5 years of our children's life, 80% within first 3 years. So by 5 years, 90% is already done. So environment do play their role, as well as the nutrition that we are giving to our children play its own role. 75% of meal, whatever we are giving to our children, actually goes to the building of their brain. And having said that, there is a very important thing, which is play. So just 15 minutes of play-based learning provides enough opportunity for our children for brain connection. So it's like environment and combo of our efforts. Go to the next slide, please. So what we need to do in such a cumbersome environment when we have to have our children developmental domain in our mind and whatever settings we are having, schools, offices, our own home, there is a solution, there is a framework that provides us a guidance called nurturing care. And if we give enough input that nurturing care, then only we'll get the development as an outcome for our children during early years. Become next slide, please. And this is actually the essence of our discussion. You can see that this nurturing care have 5 components: good health, adequate nutrition, safety and security, responsive caregiving, which is a child care, and opportunity for early learning. So today I'll touch base on these 2 components: opportunity for early learning and responsive caregiving. And of course, health, nutrition, and safety, security. We all know how much this is important and contribute into the holistically for the survival and thrive of our children. But if we can go to the next slide. I'll just unpack the nurturing care. You, me, all are part of this puzzle. So if any single piece is missing, child development's gonna be jeopardized. And this is what I just wanted to communicate, that we all part of it, whether we are in the business, whether we are in community, whether we are in academia, schools, philanthropy organization, government, media, all pieces needs to be fit in to reach out for our children care and learning opportunity. Next slide. When we would like to unpack, when we say what it is all about, early learning, protection, health, water, so there are clear-cut guidance available. But I would like to stick to the education, as most of our, audience and colleagues who are here are more pertinent to education and care system. So it is not only school who are actually providing care system. It is home-based, early learning, responsive caregiving is one of the things. How we need to connect that, how we are going to facilitate those working women, even now we are talking about parents, fathers, to make that connect more strong at the school setting and home, that the parents are enabled to provide childcare and opportunity for early learning, because early learning is not just happening at the institutional level, but it is happening at the home level as well. So how we are going to bring these two dots together? And this is the most important gap we have actually identified, that there is a disconnect. How we can make it. Let's go to the next slide. And just to alarm you, we do not have any data when we talk about early learning, when we talk about our children care. Pakistan, we do not have any data. So it's a need of time. We need to, through whatever platform we are sitting, we need to highlight this. We need to have that data. If we are talking about childcare, if we are adamant to contribute to the childcare, and so that's how the situation is. We do have some data on other aspects, but these two are the crucial, yet we don't have any data. Next slide. So just to highlight, when we talk about childcare, there is a very specific terminology, which is responsive caregiving. Please try to understand the care perspective with the need of that child. We need to understand, notice, respond as a parent, as a teacher, whatever settings we are. What are the child signals that are telling us? And that's where we are providing the child care through protecting them against any kind of injury, adversities which are bringing negative effect on our children, whatever the environment that child is having, health issues, learning perspective, and as well as the societal perspective, trust, social relationship, which Saira, you have already highlighted. So all these are tied up with the responsive caregiving. It's an art. We need to have that understanding when we talk about childcare. It has to be responsive according to their actions, according to their needs. We need to be responsive. That we can go to the next slide, please. So key message, when we talk about early learning and opportunities for learning, so learning should be or must be through play base for early years. And it has to be informative, supportive, and counseling around the early learning using very simple common household objective and homemade toys at household level, and similar kind of thing efforts we need to put into the school. Private sectors, public sector schools, we do not need to be very fancy, by the way. So play, reading, storytelling, all those things are important. But the most important, which I highlighted here as a red, is the good quality care, daycare for children. I hope we'll be discussing more around it, but quality daycare for children, especially for those women who are working, it's crucial. And we have to have such setting. And I think family-friendly policies and practice provide us such opportunity to have that into our system. And that's the crucial thing I just wanted to bring into the notice. Plus, pre-primary education. What are the opportunities we are providing to our children? Age from 3 to 5 years? And is it play-based? Is it enough design based on their cognitive abilities as per the stage? We need to look into all these dimensions before we, start working. Even for daycare center, shouldn't be a room of 4 walls where child, is like a cage, in a cage. So that's another thing. We have visited so many daycare centers and said, Dr. Sabha, we have beautiful daycare center. Okay, let's see. And then when we visited, it was just furniture and wall with some butterflies here and there. That's not the purpose. So when we are talking about early learning and we are talking about family-friendly policies at workplace and practices, there is a standard SOP, there is a standard guidance. So daycare means early learning opportunity as well. If we can go to the next slide, I'm cognizant of the time as well, so I'm not being very elaborate. I just wanted to share because this slide is really painful to see that what is the status of our learning in this country. We have 2 dimensions. One, those who are out of school, just imagine 36% of our children are out of school and our more than 50% are girls. So this is the situation where we are living in. And 74% are from rural area. So still we are talking about those who are privileged. So, there is a deprivation, there is inequality in this country. And the second dimension, if you see, the children who are even in the school, they are out of learning. So there is a difference. There are children who are out of school completely. Then there are children who are in the school but out of learning. We call it learning poverty. And let me tell you, unfortunately, in Pakistan, learning poverty is around 75 to 78%, which is huge. You just see from 2019 to 2023, just imagine and just see the percentage. I won't repeat. Let's take Urdu. 59, we dropped to 50%, huh? Maths, 56 to 46. Something is wrong. What is that? We need to explore. Maybe our children do not have that opportunity to have all those dimensions to be taken care through a child care. It's not always just admitting children into school and automatically expecting the child is learning. So this is a slide I just wanted to highlight. We'll be sharing, of course, these slides, but this is the reality of Pakistan. Yeah, quick. Yeah. So on behalf of UNICEF, I just want to share that we believe on life learning approach, and we work on this life, learning opportunity, pre-primary, as I said, 3 to 5, then early grade 6 to 9, and second decade, which is 10 to 18 and onwards. And while we are doing this, we have to make sure fathers, as I said, parenting is now the new term. We just cannot blame or shift all the responsibility on mothers. It's parents now. So fathers and mothers and caregivers, you, me, I being healthcare provider, you being teacher, or maybe in any executive seat, we all are caregivers in one another way. We need to support and promote learning agenda at home, at our education institution. Teachers needs to be structured, equipped with the quality learning. System and policy improvement, of course, we usually reach out to government and others to address that. And with this, I'll move to my last slide, Samin. Yeah. So what are the parameters when we talk about early childhood development learning program? So it based on early childhood education. Most of the private schools do have such thing well established, but this agenda needs to be propagated across the country. Foundational learning for young children, teachers' professional development, community and parents' engagement, very important. And while you are covering all these things, we must not undermine all those vulnerable children who are around us, how we can contribute to them, including disability. UNICEF Pakistan do have specific guidelines around all these parameters and would be happy to share in case if there is a request. Going to the next slide, with the huge thanks giving us this opportunity to share some thoughts. These are some glimpses that we talk about parenting. We equipped people on parenting, and we are reaching out through health, through school, whatever the platform we get, we are there. So thank you very much. Thank you. Over to you, Samin, please.
Hello.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think I'm having a little problem turning on my video. Thank you, Dr. Sabah, for your presentation and highlighting the importance of safety and the importance of the correct sort of interventions in terms of the age, and how, important it is to look at all of these specific areas when we're designing childcare systems and having them in mind. I'm now going to hand over to Samina Kund, who is going to do a short panel with Samia Babar of the CAS School, and Saira, to talk more about the research and see, what are the current solutions offered and how we can take it forward.
And thank you so much, Nazia, and thank you, Dr. Sabah and Sarah, for your really enlightening work. presentations. It really brings us to this whole, I mean, the reason why we've engaged schools really is for two reasons primarily. Number one, when Dr. Sabha mentioned that when we are talking about childcare intervention, we need to be really focused on the quality of childcare intervention. It is not just a space where kids exist. It has to be done in a manner that early learning needs to be put into place, health needs to be put into place, proper safety measures need to be put into place. Infrastructure needs to really be coherent for that. And when you think about this infrastructure where the children can be housed in a safe space in a manner which is cohesive for their learning, for their development, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? It is schools. And I'm not talking about, I'm talking, I mean, education system in Pakistan, for better or for worse, we start sending our kids to school at a slightly earlier age versus a lot of Western countries. So our school systems are really equipped to have children come in from, correct me if I'm wrong, around 2 years, 2.5 year onwards, right? So here we have a very, already developed, somewhat developed. And I mean, obviously, like in everything, you have different categories of it, but but it exists. You have all tiers of school, but these school systems are there to help develop children, protect children, to bring them forward. So when you talk about, and then we know, when we do our research, the top two barriers to entry for women into workspaces, number one remains unavailability of childcare and flexibility, and number two is transportation. So both of these issues are actually concerns that are directly or indirectly related to schooling systems as well. Here you have a school which houses children. The mothers are mostly, I mean, as Dr. Sabha said, we need to be looking and into parental and parents, but unfortunately, these mothers are more often than not are doing the picks and drops of the children. The school timings, unfortunately, as they exist, are not synced with work timings. So unfortunately, infrastructure that is available, which is naturally can be transitioned towards effective childcare, is unfortunately not used as a platform. So I'm going to be firstly talking to Saima. First of all, thank you so much for joining us. And I wanted to ask you about your, how are you using your infrastructure, and how are you incorporating after school, after hour activities, and how do you think you're facilitating families and our parents using it, both in terms of the challenges you faced as well as the demand that you see, just in your experience?
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me here today. And this is it's an ongoing process in our school. Very recently, where I'm at the KG section, and there are kids in the main campus, and parents have trouble picking them up. So now we have inculcated a program for after school. Where the younger kids can stay in the school with different programs. We have music, art, crafts, smart board. We have different programs where they can be facilitated till the parents can come and pick them up at the same time as the older sibling. And for those who have even more trouble, there are programs like football and violin practices. Now they are incorporating that in the curriculum till up to around 4:30. So I'm hoping, because there are parents who do face problems, and this would be a great thing, because I know working moms have a problem to come and pick, and if we have trained staff and the right facilities in the school, I think it's a great opportunity for women to work and have the kids in a safe environment. So trained staff, we have proper music teachers. Every teacher is on duty for every particular, every day there's a staff who is with the children during the after school. It rotates every month. So we're trying, and I think I hope more opportunities come along, because I think this will help a lot of moms in the long run. There are a lot of working moms. Yeah.
That's I just picked up on two things I would specifically want to look at here. One of them being that when we, you mentioned that you have, specific teachers for specific programs. From what it sounds like, it's like a very high investment project. It's high in terms of, and as Dr. Sabha also mentioned, and you've also mentioned, if you have a school of a certain standard, you want to maintain that standard post school hours. And Saira had, in her presentation, also mentioned about the concerns the school have. Where do what facilitations would you want to see, and at what areas, of maybe support, regulatory support, that would you want for this project to go forward, where you provide a very, just the way you run your morning shift, let's call it a shift per se, and then you
It's
run
called
a
the
yeah, so you run your afternoon shift in a manner which is, for example, for working parents, that can you just share your concerns, like, as person sitting in academia, dealing with parents as well as admin of it, what are the issues you see from both ends, from the concerns from the parents as well as your challenges and gaps as a
Of course,
school
I
administrator?
know. This is one of our main concerns, because as part of the afternoon shift, if I have to stay on till 2:15 or 2:30, my time is till 1:45. I'm not being paid that extra amount. And obviously, as working for this organization, I would do it because I'm obliged, because I'm working with them. So if we are given a little incentive, and we are given, there has to be something, there has, the admin can also, I'm sure they are charging parents for certain amounts, like even football or whatever, because we have proper trained football players coming from Karachi United, and then we have the music teacher who's already working from morning till afternoon. They have shifts and stuff, so a little bit more incentive to help them run this. I think it can go, like, further, longer hours for parents, if that's what you're asking.
Yes, definitely. That's exactly what I'm asking. But another thing I wanted to know, that what about the parents? Do you feel there is a need for this sort of a do you see the need around you?
Yeah, there are working moms, I know, and we can see, especially the ones who've been enrolled their kids to be picked up, and the other one come, then they have to, they write us a letter saying that, I'll come at certain time. There are working moms, and I think once we, as a school, can provide it to them, I'm sure there will be opportunities for expanding this, and on a larger scale, definitely.
Fantastic. I mean, really looking forward to at least one, how the first mover advantage, or, the first one coming in. Obviously there are sets of challenges and there are the sets of issues, as you mentioned. I think one another thing for a lot of women who go in teaching as a profession, do so because of the short hours because, they themselves want that flexibility to be able to go home. So that again brings that, that catch-22. You start after school program to facilitate women, only to have your, women who are working in your organization figuring
Yeah,
out
but
that
we have,
flexibility.
yeah, I didn't, but like we have people in admin, working women who have to stay there till 4:35, and if they have kids, younger ones, so starting a program for them also, it'll only benefit them as well, right? Because we put in all our efforts and hard work. It would be nice to have something like this. It really, I think the women workforce is very important.
But I mean, we will love to see a lot more women coming into the workspaces and educational institutions, as I said, like yourself, which have the ready structure and as well as the expertise, and have got the protocols and everything in space. It looks like a great space where further expansion could really help facilitate a lot of parents and give them the opportunity to come, to work, especially working moms. So now, Saira, I want to come to you. Based on your extensive research, including this countless, we've gone through focus groups and interviews that you've also shared in your presentation. What are the key takeaways? If I were to ask you to just take out these key takeaways, in integrating the schooling system and the after school program ecosystem, both in terms of the opportunities, the gaps and challenges that need to be addressed. How would you like summarize this thing together that, in an ideal world, how would you make this happen?
Thanks. Okay, so this is saying the school part is very dear to me because you say opportunities, right? And what have we found? So in terms of opportunities, meeting parents and seeing their need to take care of the children for a long time. Because look, at one time maybe it's easy to do pick and drop and then get back to work, but it's no longer like that, at least not in Karachi, keeping in with the pick. So opportunity, I would say, is huge, absolutely huge. I mean, every parent who is working very, very keen on utilizing a facility like this. Every parent who's not working, and this is something that came out very strong in our research as well, that a huge percentage of people would go back to or get to work if they had childcare, right? So the school to us is one of the ideal platforms where there's secure and safe healthcare. So opportunity is huge. And this opportunity would really add to helping more women get into the workforce, right? In terms of
Yeah.
the challenges, you asked me about challenges. So the challenges that came about, and again, very strong in our conversations that we had with people, more so with the schools. And to us, we put it as literally a block because a lot of schools said that it's a huge cost to do this. But obviously, if you're going to give additional service, you're going to charge for it. Some schools said that, how will we manage? We don't have the right people. We don't, when our teachers are not to do this, when we don't expect the same teachers to do it, or we don't expect you to go and sit in those classrooms. Now there are, there are proper people who have early childhood education, who know how to they learning, etc. So you have the expertise. You need to spend some to invest. And then what I talked about when I presented that, so it doesn't have to be all level expense. It has to be, you can have volunteers, you can have parents come in. I know schools where parents have to go once a week, or once a month for van duty. I'm sure you do it as well. So they can go for daycare, just to make sure things are good. So challenges can be overcome. They're just to our mind block challenges. And where I would say, and this is where we want to put forward something to government, is look, in terms of policy or driving mandate, what we had in corporates where banks, where they said that, we want X percentage, it started with 20% by so and so year, we want female participation. If the government can bring about, of course, with certain concessions, with certain that they give to the schools along with it, and they say, we would want to have the schools operate this time. It comes if it's a top-driven thing with certain clear mandates or guidelines. This can easily be kind of put into place without much challenge. I think it's a very good thing. Challenges are to us came about was more so mind block. Expertise, yeah, it's less expertise, but you can get it. Space, you have space, you have security, you have the entire infrastructure in school, so the opportunity is unlimited. The challenge is just wanting to do it and putting it in.
Going for it. Yeah. Thank you. I had a whole list of questions, but unfortunately we don't have that much time. We're running short on time. Just some, just before I do the closing, I want to just give a short I want to touch upon another area that we haven't talked about during this course of this webinar, is how the opportunities for the large companies with factory workers, with blue collar staff and factory workers, how they can utilize these facilities where they can probably, their staff, most of them, get picked up by a van. Most of these workers come from a specific designated areas. We could then, these businesses could collaborate with those schools that most of these children, because, if they're coming from a certain localized area, they're sending their kids to those specific schools. So facilitating these blue collar workers and providing them with what Saira had previously mentioned, that, one of the most important thing is that after school program need to be structured, well-rounded programs. And then I will bring in Dr. Sabah's recommendation on providing proper safety, nutritious. Imagine these children, coming from low, to say it like, coming from not that well backgrounds, they get proper nutritious meal. And, we know for a fact that Pakistan unfortunately has one of, the children and women are the most vulnerable in terms of the nutritional deficiencies. And so imagine you are able to capture that. You are able to capture the children who, instead of, being walking around on the roads, they're actually sitting, learning STEM education. These kids are learning AI. These kids are sitting and learning soft skills, hard skills, skills that they will require in, to help them be more productive into the workforces. So instead of walking on the streets, these children are eating nutritious meal and being productive and doing things what children, in sports and doing sports, doing all of these courses, extra courses that will help them. I mean, that is, for anybody's guess, that would be such a, I feel like that's just a perfect CSR plus sustainable project, because, they are your future workers of these, the factory workers. If you are providing this for their children, you have a staff member who's committed to life. These people are not going to leave your organization if you facilitate them. We know the retention is stronger when the staff members are given facilities. Then you have your vaccination drives. I mean, I can go on, talk about, the amount of benefits that you can derive from just that one pilot project. So with that, I will close today's webinar. Thank you so much for everybody for joining us. And we would love to hear about from all the people who've joined us, if they have any questions, if they have any concerns, any organizations who are looking to partner with schools, or any schools who are looking to partner, we are here, we are available, we would love to help you. We are our knowledge partners, UN Women, UNICEF, happy to help you in any capacity to build this platform, because as Saira initially said, 148 out of 148, we are at the bottom. We need to come up from there. And we've done making excuses that doesn't work. We have to find ways to have women get more accessible into the workspaces. Anything else is not an option. With that, I will close today's webinar. Thank you so much for everybody for joining us. And thank you, our guests. We were so lovely to meet you and so great to hear your comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Love this.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Have you taken a photograph, or do we need to take another one? Let me just.
Yes, I think we should take another one. Because starting with
Oh, okay. I think Samia is left. Chalo, let's take one, and then I think I also had one unchecked it. Maybe we can
Okay.
use that. All right.
Okay.
Are you taking it?
Yes, just like. Okay, I got it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sabah. Don't
Thank
worry, I will
you.
be sharing the presentations in a PDF format. Thank you so much for joining us. And now I have to rush to pick up my child as well.
Oh, please go. Thank you,
Okay,
Nazish.
bye.
Thank you, Saira.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you,
Saira. Thank
everyone.
you. Great work,
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye-bye.